Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking a source that is, well, it's less about abstract ideas and more about pure distilled terror.
It really is. We were set this incredibly tight narrative. It's titled The Wife's Ghost.
And frankly, reading it just felt like navigating a minefield of suspicion and, just pure dread.
It does. And we have a unique mission today, which we need to be crystal clear about with you.
Right.
We are approaching this narrative solely as, you could say, historians of the facts presented. Our only job here is to chronicle the events in precise chronological order.
So no analysis.
No analysis. We're not interpreting the supernatural, not speculating on why anyone did what they did. We're just relaying the story of this mounting paranoia centered on one man, Li Jun.
And that constraint to only tell the story is so fascinating because the story itself is just full of these unanswered provocative questions.
It is.
We start right in the thick of it, approaching midnight in Li Jun's home where the suspense is already suffocating.
The initial details are small, but really effective. The source material, it draws your attention immediately to the wall clock.
Just a normal clock.
A standard wall clock. But as the time creeps toward midnight, its familiar ticking sound, it changes. It becomes, and this is a quote, sharp and irritating.
Almost like it's aimed at him.
Exactly, like an aggressive sound directed only at Li Jun.
And Li Jun is absolutely fixated on that clock. He's not relaxing, he's waiting. We learn the time is precisely 11:49 p.m.
He's counting down.
Counting down the minutes to what the source ominously calls the 0-hour ghost time.
And the physical manifestation of his fear is extreme. The source notes he's sweating profusely. It's described almost poetically as the sweat dripping down like rain.
Wow.
He's just paralyzed by terror, anticipating something or someone.
This tension peaks when a subtle noise comes from the kitchen. Li Jun instantly freezes. He is convinced, without a doubt, that that thing has returned. He even makes a hesitant move toward the kitchen, toward confrontation.
But the narrative uses a curious little device right here. Before he can even get to the kitchen, a cat meows loudly outside.
And that's all it takes.
It's an immediate, abrupt disruption. The moment the cat meows, the tension it breaks.
The source calls it a distraction, right? Something that lets him relax his vigilance.
Exactly. He abandons the whole idea of confronting whatever is in the dark and just retreats quickly to the safety of his bedroom. He leaves the midnight hour completely uninvestigated.
And that retreat, that choice not to look, it sets up this terrifying recurrence the very next morning.
Li Jun is woken by his alarm, goes through his morning routine, and heads to the kitchen to make breakfast. He seems to be functioning normally.
Until he steps across the threshold.
The moment he enters the kitchen, he collapses. Instantly, just falls to the floor in pure terror.
It's the same shock from the night before, but now it's triggered by something mundane.
Right. But why? Because a full breakfast, everything prepared and waiting, was already set out on the table.
And the doors were locked.
Double locked. The source makes a point of this. He had double locked every door the night before, yet the food was there, perfectly placed.
And this had happened before.
Yes. Just as it had on previous unexplained occasions.
So you have this complete contradiction. Locked security versus a prepared meal. It just shatters his reality.
His reaction isn't to investigate, it's to flee.
He gets out of his house so fast, the source says, as if escaping a disaster.
And he takes that profound state of terror straight into his workplace.
Exactly. He arrives at work distraught, completely distracted by these nonstop, unusual events he just can't explain.
And this, of course, immediately attracts the attention of his manager, Zhang Qiang.
Zhang Qiang approaches him, and he seems to be expressing genuine concern.
He does. The manager tells Li Jun, "I worry something bad will happen," and suggests he take a few days off to recover.
But Li Jun flat out refuses the offer.
He does. And here's where the story shifts from, let's say, personal fear to active surveillance. Immediately after Li Jun refuses the suggestion to rest, Zhang Qiang goes straight into his private office.
And makes a phone call.
Picks up the phone and dials a number. This action, coming right after the refusal, is a critical turning point.
So that evening, Zhang Qiang makes a real effort to keep Li Jun late at the office.
A very concerted effort. He claims he wants to chat, but the conversation is entirely unimportant matters.
And Li Jun, who is already so paranoid, he starts to feel this, right? He perceives the delay as deliberate. He realizes he's being detained.
He does, and that realization triggers this dramatic escape sequence.
He excuses himself to go to the restroom.
And then makes this surprisingly complex and rapid maneuver.
Yep.
He slips out the side door of the men's room,
Okay.
sneaks through the women's room, and then somehow uses the ventilation duct system to climb out of the company building entirely.
Wow. That is the action of a highly desperate, or maybe even highly trained, person.
Yeah, it is. And when Zhang Qiang realizes Li Jun is gone, his reaction is instantaneous. It suggests a true emergency.
He rushes to the phone, dials that same number from earlier.
That exact same number.
Yeah.
And then he just sprints out of the company building after Li Jun. The source treats this not just as worry, but as, like, an emergency declaration.
But the chase is only half the story. The narrative splits right here.
It does. It shifts the scene simultaneously back to Li Jun's now empty apartment.
So while the manager is sprinting across town, we discover a young man, a colleague in his 20s, is already inside.
Right. And he's searching the apartment with a flashlight, moving with this practiced stealth, like a spy in a movie.
The first phase of his search is interrupted by a sound. And this sound, this is where the narrative starts to get genuinely uncanny.
The colleague pauses, and he strains to hear a very faint but still discernible groan.
A groan with a specific quality to it. Source says it has a recitation or chanting tone.
Which is so specific. He tracks this noise, and that leads him toward the kitchen, the site of the mysterious breakfasts.
But just as he gets close,
The sound completely vanishes.
and then we get that strange repetition.
Exactly. As he turns away from the silent kitchen, a black shadow appears suddenly. It startles him so badly that he falls directly onto the floor.
The exact same reaction Li Jun had that morning. That symmetry has to be telling us something.
But once again, the source confirms it's just a cat.
This recurring cat, it feels like a narrative trap, almost conditioning you to expect a benign explanation for everything.
After finding no concrete evidence, the colleague pulls out his phone. He sends a text message to some unknown recipient and then prepares to exit the apartment quietly.
But the silence is broken one last time.
Just as he prepares to move, a much louder noise comes from the kitchen. This time, it's way too loud to be a cat.
He hears what sounds like heavy walking, but the source describes it as distant and chillingly, as if not walking on the ground.
An echo of movement that just defies physics.
And the sound vanishes before he can react. But before he can even process that impossible sound, the front door opens.
He kills his flashlight instantly and barely manages to duck under the sofa.
A key detail the source notes, that the sofa was high enough to hide an adult.
And it's Li Jun. He rushes in, checks the kitchen first, the source of all phenomena, and then moves to the bedroom.
And the colleague, hidden just inches away, hears Li Jun let out a sigh of relief. He seemingly thinks he's safe and alone.
That false sense of security lasts only for a moment. There's a sudden, loud, aggressive knock at the door. Boom, boom, boom.
Li Jun goes to the peephole, he checks it, and then he shouts, "Who is it?"
But the source immediately points out that this shout was unnecessary, stating Li Jun clearly knew who it was.
He's performing for someone.
Exactly. The person identifies himself as Manager Zhang Qiang, claiming he needs to talk about work for tomorrow.
But the colleague's perspective, hidden under the sofa, gives us the key chilling detail.
He sees an abnormal expression flicker across Li Jun's face.
And then Li Jun moves to the shoe cabinet next to the door.
He opened it and pulls out something lethal, a long knife. He hides this weapon behind his back before he turns and opens the door to his manager.
So the colleague, seeing this undeniable proof that Li Jun is about to commit violence, frantically starts typing a warning text to Zhang Qiang.
He gets the message typed out. But just as his finger's moving to hit send, a voice slices through the air.
It's Li Jun.
It is. And the voice is directed not at the manager in the doorway, but at the colleague hidden beneath the couch. The words are terrifyingly calm.
"You thought I didn't see you."
The shock of that. The trap is sprung.
Outside, Zhang Qiang is getting deeply worried. 10 minutes have passed since he knocked. He hasn't gotten any texts, no signal from the colleague.
He's about to knock again when the door just opens.
But again, it's not Li Jun, it's the colleague who is hiding under the sofa.
And Zhang Qiang immediately demands answers. Where is Li Jun? What's going on? The colleague gives this bizarre response. He smiles, this really strange smile, and says, I didn't see Li Jun. I was just playing a joke on you.
A joke. Zhang Qiang presses him, asks if he found anything during his search.
And the colleague just keeps that unsettling smile and says, I found nothing at all. Then he closes the door behind him and leaves quickly.
This evasiveness, it just confirms Zhang Qiang's deepest fears.
The source material notes he already suspected Li Jun had murdered his wife and reported her missing.
And this whole sequence, the escape, the locked door, the colleague's denial, it just firms up his suspicion. He knows he has to go back inside.
He does, and he uses his spare key, a key the source clarifies he had stolen previously, specifically to carry out this search.
Inside, the atmosphere is strangely silent. All the lights are on.
All except for the kitchen. And as Zhang Qiang gets closer to the kitchen, he smells a strange, unsettling odor.
But before he can investigate the smell, the colleague reappears, right at the apartment door.
He tells Zhang Qiang, "Manager, let's go." I said, "There's nothing abnormal."
And the tone is heavy with menace. It sounds like a direct threat.
It does. Zhang Qiang, uneasy but feeling blocked. He complies. He leaves the apartment.
But now the strange actions just escalate outside the apartment.
The colleague immediately demands the spare key back from Zhang Qiang.
Zhang Qiang hands it over.
The colleague takes the stolen key, and along with the key he was already holding, he just forcefully snaps both keys completely in half,
destroying all access to the apartment.
Right. And before Zhang Qiang can even react to this bizarre, destructive act, the colleague's eyes close and he collapses, just falls onto the manager.
So now Zhang Qiang is dealing with an unconscious man. He drags him into the elevator, planning to head down to the ground floor to call for emergency help.
But the call never happens. Just as the elevator begins to go down, a huge, catastrophic explosion rips through the building.
The source says the manager feels the tremor, this powerful blast, even from the lower floors.
Firefighters arrive quickly. They eventually retrieve 2 corpses from what's left of Li Jun's apartment. 1 male, 1 female.
And meanwhile, the colleague wakes up.
He wakes up, and when Zhang Qiang tries to question him about the knife, the search, that smile, the explosion, the colleague claims total, bewildering ignorance.
Amnesia. He says he remembers nothing that just happened.
Nothing at all.
And that is the final piece of the chronology. We have a story that ends not with an explanation, but with surveillance, premeditated violence, a catastrophic fire, death.
And a final, baffling claim of amnesia.
If we just look at the sequence of facts, the questions the narrative leaves you with are extraordinary.
I mean, what was the origin of that perfectly prepared breakfast, given the double locked doors? What created those loud, non-ground-based sounds in the kitchen?
The source makes it so clear that Li Jun grabbed a weapon to confront his own manager, knowing full well he was being watched by someone else.
And we have 2 bodies recovered, but no clear identification is ever provided in this material. Then there's that critical, almost synchronous sequence of the keys being destroyed, the colleague collapsing.
And the explosion happening immediately after.
We stuck to the restriction. We only told the story. But the power of this source is how it just frames these facts against each other. The ultimate ambiguity suggests this ongoing, horrific confrontation that ends not with justice or clarity, but just annihilation.
And we want to leave you with that final, terrible confrontation. Li Jun, standing in his doorway with a knife, addresses the man hiding in the shadows. "You thought I didn't see you." What does that moment of recognition imply about the level of awareness and the level of fear that had gripped that apartment? That's something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.